Hi, I'm Diego.
And I'm Allie.
And today we're going to be teaching you about the sociological concept of masculinity.
And in particular, toxic masculinity.
So to do this, we're going to be taking you through the lifespan of a boy and a girl.
And we're going to show you how they're socialized into different and sometimes harmful gender roles.
Of course, our representations may be overly simplistic.
And they cannot encompass the unlimited gender identities and experiences with gender socialization that occur.
So let's start.
Oh my god, it's a girl.
It's a boy. I'm going to name you
Sophia
and Jackson.
Now you have been gender typed.
Gentyped.
Your gender has been defined for you, and you will now be made aware of that gender and socialized into a set of behaviors considered specific to that gender. Congrats! Just kidding. Not really.
As his mother, I hope that he will be strong, athletic, and a leader.
As her father, I hope she's going to be kind, loving, and beautiful.
10 years later, we can see how social forces have been acting on Jackson and Sophia since the day they were born. Their parents' gender role expectations have guided their lives, and they will soon experience social sanctions when they traverse these expectations. For example,
I was beat up on the playground for playing with dolls.
I joined the soccer team, and my parents are proud of me.
as Halberstam discusses, tomboyism in females is tolerated more and for a longer time than stereotypically feminine behaviors in boys. Still, girls do reach a point past childhood at which they are expected to assume typical femininity. 2 years later,
I've learned that I need to be tough, and that I need to learn how to box, and my dad said it's the only way that people will respect me.
My older sister told me that I need to start wearing makeup in middle school so that boys will like me.
as you can see, a few mechanisms of social control are at play here. Various members in society, such as family, make sure traditional gender roles are being conformed to. Violence, for example, was used to sanction the boy's feminine actions, and he was socialized into violent activities to protect his image of masculinity and reap its rewards. The girl's older sister, teaching her how and encouraging her to wear makeup, is a subtler form of social control, for example, pressure, criticism, etc., that still promotes a traditional version of femininity that is focused on subservience to masculinity. 20 years later, Sophia and Jackson are now in a troubling relationship. Let's take a closer look.
You let that waiter walk all over you
Here
at the
she goes
restaurant last
again.
night. You aren't even a real man. Why can't you be a real man? I get more respect than you.
Man, you wish you got more respect. I'm the man in the relationship. You need to respect me. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're being all hysterical and crazy. No, you just need to stop.
Later that evening, their fight has spiraled out of control. The police come and arrest both for assaulting one another. This scenario illustrates two main issues. 1, domestic violence, and 2, toxic masculinity.
So domestic violence, as defined by domesticviolence.org and edited by us, states that domestic violence and emotional abuse can be used in a relationship to control another partner. And it's important to note that these individuals may be married, may be separated, or just may be occasionally dating, and may be individuals who are in the LGBTQI spectrum.
According to the National Coalition for Domestic Violence is defined as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, or any other abusive behavior perpetrated by one partner against another in a systematic pattern of power and control. It can include physical violence, sexual violence, psychological violence, and emotional abuse.
Moving on to the definition of toxic masculinity.
So, toxic masculinity is a term that we struggle a lot to define. And we learned that it's not an easy term to define. And a lot of scholars also struggle with this. So we try to construct our own definition, our own working definition of what toxic masculinity is. So first, we believe that toxic masculinity is similar to, but not exactly the same as hegemonic masculinity, which is defined as a cultural expression of the dominant form of masculinity that regulates other patterns of femininity and masculinity. This is according to Cornell, 1996.
So what we believe is that toxic masculinity happens when hegemonic masculinity is enacted in such a way that it becomes harmful to the actor and or to others. And while this working definition is important for this project, we also believe that the binary categories of masculinity and femininity are inherently problematic and that we should continually deconstruct the meanings behind these two terms.
So first, And finally, we would like to stress that anyone can be a victim. If you're being abused, remember you are not alone,
It is not your fault.
and there is help. And we continue to push everyone to define these terms and deconstruct them. Thank you.
Thank you.